Hi, I'm Larry Romestant, and I build special Ks. I've been working on these bikes for about 5 or 6 years. I chose to work on the K bikes because I love the engineering, the basic, simple engineering of the engine, and it has a lot of potential. Yeah, and one of the things that's appealing about the K bike is, well, it's a very smooth motor, they're very reliable, and a lot of people really appreciate them. There aren't many people that do this kind of thing, and there aren't many bikes out there that are fully customized. But my bikes, I try to make them look like something that could have been a factory bike. The big reason why I'm doing this is because I just haven't seen it done before. There hasn't been anything out there that really resembles a factory bike in the sense that it's a K-bike, that it's a flying brick model K-bike. So that's why I've taken these bikes and I've done what I've done. It just takes a little artistic license, and then before you know it, you've got something different. I think that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to build something that would take the engineering and the reliability and the simplicity of that K motor and that K frame, because it is a very good handling motorcycle, and make it look like a real motorcycle. Yeah, the impetus for this was I got my first K bike in 2005, and like I've said, though it runs beautifully and it's a lot of fun to have, it just didn't look very good. So, that was the beginning of the changing. I simplified the bike by just changing color. The comments I get from most people is that the colors fit. It's just the right amount of color, it's the right amount of chrome, and they look like art pieces as much as motorcycles, and I couldn't ask for anything more than that. Yeah, since 2005, I built the first one, which I sold in 2007. And then I really didn't do much on the bikes until a little bit later, but in the last 2 years I've built 5 more. And the customers pretty much all have the same comments when they say that they're just very beautiful. And I brought out, I suppose I brought out the beauty of the K-bike itself. The engine's typically usually covered up by some kind of a fairing or a cowling or a shroud, so you really don't get to see much of it. And everything is painted a simple monochromatic scheme on the engine and the drivetrain, and then a single color on the body, and then the funky gauges. But when you put multiple colors and put some color and some style in the seats and change the wheels, and you can do a lot with it. It becomes something bigger than it was. It's been a passion of mine. After first riding the K-bike, I've always ridden Boxers. I've ridden everything else. Hondas, Suzuki's, Kawasaki's, Yamahas, Ducatis, and I've owned them all. But after riding a K-bike and how smooth it was, I've just been passionate about making it luxurious looking as well as, because it is a BMW and it is a luxury motorcycle, and it should look and feel like a luxury motorcycle as well as ride like one. Now this is a first year 85. I'm really excited about it because there are a lot of them out there, but this one is in particularly low miles and in good condition. It was an RT, so it had the full fairing, but this is a stock bike, and it's got a great deal of potential. You can see the gauges are the first thing they're going to go. Those are just disgusting, actually. And I'll be updating the wheels. I'll probably go ahead and use this. The exhaust is kind of bulky looking, but if you polish it up and you chrome that cover, it could be a beautiful piece. So it stays. And I'll probably polish or chrome the engine covers. I'm going to get rid of that airbox, for example. This big black bulky airbox. Unfortunately for this model, it's required because it has the airflow meter inside of it. But I'm going to update the electronics so that I can get rid of it and go with something else. And something like this can easily be turned into something like this. Now let me walk you around these things. These are 2 different styles, actually. This cream one is considered a retro modern. I call it a retro modern because it incorporates 4 generations of BMW components, and it has both fuel injection, which is modern, and it has bar end turn signals and a headlight from the 1960s, which gives it the retro look. So the other one, the blue one, is what I call a updated standard. There's nothing really retro about it. It just has updated look, so that it has a real headlight with real headlight ears, round gauges. I pared down the tailpiece in the sense that I took the handles off the back. I moved the turn signals off of the back, off this back under tailpiece, and because they were very large and clunky. I put the bar end mirrors on to give it a more updated look, and then the paint scheme, by blacking out the shroud, it kind of makes it disappear, but the turn signals are mounted on it, so it gives it a modern look, and they're LED. And the seat, of course, has been completely updated. Plus it has the driving lights, the 55 watt driving lights. And I didn't really go overboard with changes to the drivetrain by changing it from a monolever to a paralever. I actually just left it as it was with a drum brake. And so it's basically the motorcycle the way it would have been from the factory with some modifications and some color changes. But when you go back to the cream one, that's a different story altogether. The cream one has a paralever, and the K75 never had a paralever. K75 always had the monolever like what's on the blue. But the paralever extends the wheelbase 2 inches. So it actually makes the bike longer and puts it in the same class with the K1100 series. But this one is also lowered. And lowering it gives it a lower center of gravity. And it makes it very, very, very stable. Even though it has a smaller front wheel, it still makes it very stable and very neutral handling. It gives it that classic, kind of a /2 feel to it, because it's just kind of low to the ground. You still sit up in it, but it's still lower to the ground. Yeah, for example, the brakes on the cream bike. These are 305 millimeter floating discs rather than what would normally be on that front end, which is also, it's a K75S front fork. But that front end normally has what's on the blue one, and those are the fixed rotors, the 295 millimeter rotors. These are 305 floating rotors, and instead of using the 4-pot Brembo calipers that would normally be associated with these, I'm using the 2-pot calipers because they give you a more progressive feel. And the reason they do that is I've added, instead of using the 13 millimeter brake master cylinder, I'm using the 20 millimeter master cylinder from the later model bikes. And by incorporating those with those 2-pot calipers, the result is a brake that has more volume but less pressure, and you have more progressive use of the brake, and it's very easy to manage. It's not grabby, but it will stop on a dime. But you can very gradually pull it in, so it's very comfortable to use. Yeah, so for future builds, right now there are 3 in the works, 2 calf racers and another custom like the cream bike. The calf racers, one's going to be based on a K1200 RS motor, a 130 horsepower motor, and it's being built for Evan Bell of Irv Seaver BMW in Anaheim. It's the 100th anniversary of Irv Seaver. It's actually been a working motorcycle dealership since 1911. And that means, but it was a Pope motorcycle and sporting goods dealer in 1911, and here we are, 2011, so it's a 100th anniversary. And this is going to be a very special build. It's going to have a 4 leading shoe front brake. It's going to have 4-into-4 curved black megaphone exhaust. It's going to have custom tank and tailpiece, and all the tins are going to be custom made in the UK, as is the exhaust, handmade in the UK. Wire spoked wheels. It's going to be quite an interesting build. The second project is going to be a K75 calf racer with handmade aluminum tins. It's also going to have custom brakes, custom headlight gauges. It's also going to be a throwback to the calf racers of the 60s, the 50s and 60s. Ultimately, I'd like to have a whole range of custom K-bikes. The donor bikes are plentiful, affordable, and are great platforms. And there's a great deal that can be done. A range from a simple starter bike for someone to a full-blown sport touring bike. I've got an LT modification in process that takes the fairing and resculpts it, streamlines it, change everything. It's going to be a really unique piece.